the PhD, when I was doing, I'm so used to reading journal papers. I researched the whole thing under the sign about Kienbock's disease, and there was no solution that I was pretty much feel aligned with. At this point, the option was proximal lobectomy, which means to take out all of the bones, remove those, including the healthy ones, and then stitch it back up, screw and stitch it back up. Whatever your energy pattern is, that's also how you carry with your other parts of your life. Okay. That also means how you earn. It's also how you are with your partner. That's also how you are with your friends. You feel like you have to sacrifice a lot in order to deserve the love.
Hello and welcome to episode 4. Episode 4, we're really getting into season 2 now, aren't we? And this one of Who on Earth is going to be with Dr Imelda J, our very first doctor on Who on Earth. And I first met her through, do you remember Craig Seaton from episode 2? He got, come on down to this yoga. And I think he thought I was good at yoga. I'm a meditation teacher, not a yoga teacher. Yeah? She was really pushing us. And I just was really impressed by not only her technique and the skill, but her approach and her philosophy to just explaining behind everything. And yeah, I just thought, this is somebody I really want to share with the world. And then when we got her on the show, started realising that she's a lot about energy alignment. She also works in the biotech industry with the pharmaceuticals, and yeah, that sort of like being in the spiritual community and then also being in this finance business world. It's like, it's really important, I think, that we have people like that. So yeah, there's been loads of adversity for her to overcome, and I think the messages you're about to get in this episode are going to stay with you, so pay attention. Now, before we do that, any likes, any shares, if you've got a comment, I'd love to hear what you think about the episode. Please put it in the comment section. Now, before we go into the episode, it's going to start with a lovely little handpan, and then we're going to get into a chat. Here's a few words about, well, you know who, Transmute. It's a new season, but it's the same old sponsor, and that's Transmute Studio. Beautiful centre in the centre of Manchester, Northern Quarter. It's got loads of the old stuff like the African drumming, the African dance classes. They've got salsa now as well. They've got the beautiful Arignani, ceremonial ecstatic dance with wizardry from the show, but also my alter ego DJ Moksha has made an appearance with his new ecstatic dance, Liberation. So, sound baths, Kundalini yoga, candlelit yoga, loads of beautiful events there. It's all about wellness, culture, creativity. What's going to do a better job of explaining it than my little mouth is going down to the socials, the website, and seeing it for yourself. So I'll put a link in the description, and you could maybe come float in one of them hammocks with myself. But for now, guys, enjoy the episode. Peace and love.
It's beautiful to start the podcast with a little meditation. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the way we view life challenges and what we perceive as love. So if everybody can keep your eyes closed, take a deep inhale, exhale. Love at its very core is the essence of our life. It's the essence of who we are and why we are here. In every relationship, situation in life, the way we express that innate essence outwardly. In each relationships, connections, and situations, they all act as pathways for us to have forms to express this love, something that has otherwise simply remained as an essence within us. I think we owe it to ourselves to see life circumstances as an opportunity how to express this innate love. Essentially, each relationship, each situation is a blank canvas. It's a unique canvas on which our love is painted. Through understanding, through empathy, through kindness, an innate love within us become visible to the world. I think it's a beautiful offering for ourselves to see life challenges as an opportunity of how we'd like to paint this canvas and then leave the canvas to share it with our world. Let that become an evidence of our essence, of who we truly, truly are. Take a deep inhale. Exhale. Om Shanti.
So thank you for coming on to Who on Earth. It's been we've had many attempts.
many attempts. Thank you for being so patient.
I was even worried today that we've just told you we were in my friend Nikki
Oh,
Cohen's
yes,
quarry, and we were thinking that the engine light was coming on, then the tyre light was coming on. I was like, we cannot have this car. This car will get us home. Imelda's got to be this time.
Oh no, thank you. Appreciate your patience. Really.
But all in flow, like we said. So thanks for coming on.
Thank
you for opening in such a beautiful way as well.
Thank you.
That was the first time I met you, actually.
Yes, and a block.
Power yoga.
Power yoga, all fun.
Well, Craig Seaton, who was actually the second episode we had on, I was just getting to know him, and he knew I taught meditation. I think he assumed I was good at yoga. He assumed wrong. And yours is, it was a bit challenging for a beginner. And I remember at one point you're like, just push it. I'm like, I'm trying. And then you ended it with the hang pan, and I was just like, oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So Who on Earth is all about you. It's all about celebrating who you are, hearing the stories, the adversities, the obstacles, the opportunities. And we do it chronologically, but we're going to go on our tangents, like I said, before we started the show. But I always start with, where was it that you actually come from?
Moved to UK when I was 15, super young, 15, 16. And I moved alone. So I landed in UK with pretty much very minimal English language and picked that up straight away. With a couple of courses, did the IELTS and so on, and then did my sixth form and then subsequently all the other degrees afterwards.
Whereabouts in the UK did you move to?
Cambridge.
Okay.
Yeah, I started in Cambridge.
Very nice.
Yeah. Yes, very, very southern. Yeah, it's a very safe place, I think, to very student lifestyle. Except my bike got stolen before, but that's a practice.
Someone from Manchester must have been at Cambridge.
No, but you haven't lived in Cambridge unless your bike's stolen.
Is that just
so I got a badge from that.
So you weren't allowed to leave till you got a bike stolen?
Yes.
Well, I'm mindful, 16 years before that.
Yes.
So what was it like growing up for you?
It was, childhood was interesting as parents. I was brought up a lot by my grandmother, and my mom. We moved from different island when I was a toddler, and my grandmother looked after me during daytime. Mom went to work. There's a lot of that in my childhood. Lots of friends. I noticed. I'm the only child.
Oh, you're same as me, are you?
Yeah, the only child syndrome is you're very good at hanging out with friends because you just keep asking people like, play with me, please.
See, I was the opposite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was so shy.
Really?
I was so shy. So I would always have one friend, then another friend, and then another friend.
Really?
Big groups terrified me until I got older and
interesting.
learned. Yeah.
Interesting. No, my childhood, I've always big group, interestingly. I mean, my nickname, the glue, recently gifted to me, the glue. And I realized that's always been me since I was a kid. Always very much pulling everybody in. And I remember after school, always hang out at my grandma's place and a couple of friends pop over. It was, I really enjoyed those time, actually. I learned a lot from my grandma.
What was she like?
She's an exceptional role model in my life. Exceptional. She was very disciplined. She was already in her 80s at time, and she would still get up in the morning, 4 or 5 a.m., and I would get up with her. And we'd go up we live in this story house. We'd get up and Grandma would start with chanting, some form of meditation, and then movement related.
You started young.
Yeah, 7 years old, very much so. To be fair, I don't think I understood what it was, but I wanted to be with my grandma. So I always woke up earlier to spend time with grandma, and then I think I picked up a lot of wisdom and hidden gems that only recent years I started to understand what she meant. I think a lot of these gems are very deep.
Can you give us an example?
There was one time she told me something that I don't even know where she got it from, but this was what opens your heart is not as important as what it opens. What opens your heart not as important as what it's already opened up for you. So meaning, as in, doesn't matter how it cracked open, what the situation that cracked it open, what's more important is the essence that come out of that. And I think as a child, I was barely comprehending anything of what she said. But they came to me a lot, time and time again, when I was going through different chapters in life. And it's very useful to come back to know that it's not about the external circumstances that is important. What's important is what cracked open inside. And what is the essence that come out of that? What's the becoming and the unbecoming of that? Which are only come back later on in life.
Yeah, we'll come back to that, I'm sure. So what was it that made you leave?
I got a form of, my mom always wanted to have a better generation of future, and on me, there is a lot of hope as on me. I mean, that's she's a super strong woman to be so independent, and I think she really, whatever I said in order to bettering the next generation, she was like, go ahead with it. And I think studying abroad was one of the opportunities that she spotted. So we applied for scholarships and went through the whole process, and the rest is history. So just degree after degree.
What was the degree then?
My background is mostly in medicine and in science.
Okay.
And later on, subsequently, I did my PhD was in science degree, a lot of related to cancer research, looking into how cancer drugs produce in recombinant in CHO cells in a lot of Chinese hamster ovary cell lines. So only one hamster that got killed, and it's immortal because we're only continuously producing the cell lines.
Okay.
And a lot of cancer drugs that's being produced in this, they genetically engineer, put it in the cell lines, and then that produced a protein which is the drugs. And this is often really unstable process. So my whole PhD was about looking into how can we improve the production of the antibody or the drugs itself to become more stable and more predictable,
Okay.
and longer shelf and so on and so on. So that's on the PhD side of things. Yeah.
How did that go?
It was anyone who has done PhD know it's rarely about the subject that you thought you signed up for.
Okay.
It's mostly a character building. It was hard. It was hard for the character building. It was quite a jump because I didn't do a master degree in between.
Okay.
So it was from bachelor straight to PhD, where in bachelor you're literally silver spoon. Anything that you need to memorize you memorizing game really and understanding, and you pass the exam. And I was very good at passing exams. Doesn't mean I understand.
Yeah, you can just memorize very well.
Yes, and I nail how to score
Okay.
very well. It was a skill that was very much honed from primary school, secondary school in Asia. That's what's being honed, is how do you memorize the score. You learn from the mock papers, you learn the questions that's going to come up, and then how to score. It's very good at that, bachelor, and then I think PhD did not have a single room for that. And
you actually have to be able to display this knowledge in a way that wisdom allows you to act correctly using the knowledge, but not just I have a memory of this. How do you use that? How does it help?
And what you thought was your hypothesis, not necessarily. You come up with a hypothesis, and you have to come up with the path to get, the methods to get to that hypothesis. What do you need to test? What experiments that you need to run?
So reverse engineering it.
Yeah, and reverse engineer. And frankly, I think if PhD candidates could be really honest, by the time they write their thesis, I bet the hypothesis wasn't even the hypothesis that they started with. So I think what happened...
Rub that out.
I think what happened is they collected the experiment till towards the end and then come up with a hypothesis to reconfirm back, which is not really the truth. but I think most, I say most, that's probably stereotyping a lot. I'm pretty sure there's so many
for you.
other candidates. For my journey, it definitely was character building, to say the least.
Can imagine. And like I said, somebody's story isn't just about them telling us what they're good at, the light moments. You've just moved country, you said you didn't know English, you're now having to do this jump onto the PhD. Could you just tell us how that was, sort of how you were dealing with that in that moment?
I was very, I think 16 years old, was very young to be living in an independent life. I was very independent as a kid anyway. Being a single child, I was very creative in entertaining myself. Let's put it that way.
The role models that you've had seem to...
Yes, my grandma. So it was always very... And my mom, bless her, she never put any forms of theory that this was not possible. Anything that I had my mind on, she was like, and there was no like you're a girl or a boy. Like if I said I wanted to play with a remote control car, that's what I got. Like it was never, so I never grew up with the mindset that this is a male dominant world or this is a female thing. It was like whatever you want to pursue, go for it. And so it's actually kind of, mom is definitely not a tiger mom in education path kind of way. If anything, my mom would be pulling me off school to go on holiday, and I would be the one that's crying out loud. Thanks, mom. But yeah, it's still like I would be like, no. So
you were reliving it there.
Yeah, I know. But when I was 16, I think it was almost amplifying the hyper-independent part of me. I was homesick quite a bit. I think in a way, it opened up my heart space to understand what the depth of love to my mom and to my grandmother, which, pretty much my two very solid network at time. And we didn't have WhatsApp.
Oh, yeah, because
No.
people don't realise we're so connected at whenever you need.
No, and I had to buy calling card from Asian shops, and you have to call mom, and it was very expensive. I can't quite remember how much per minute, but it was very expensive phone call. And I remember I had to write down a little post-it notes. So I call my mom every weekend and call my grandma same as well. And I had to write down on my post-it notes, stick it on my mirror to remember these are the things that I wanted to share with my mom on a weekend. And I would write email to my mom. It was really quite, oh my God, bless my heart at time, for the one intention of we have hoped for this family to grow better than how it was. And I think that was, in a way, I think my mom sacrificed a lot of that moment, that period. So. Yeah, more than I did. Because to me, I think I felt it was adventure. So I didn't have the fear. I'd pack up bags and go. Yeah, adventure, sure. I wanted to have an adventurous life.
And was it Cambridge, England, for any particular reason, or just because of the quality of the school?
The quality of the school and scholarship head towards that way. So I actually applied to Singapore, and I failed.
Oh.
So yeah, so I failed. I didn't get in Singapore.
We'll take you.
The Asian ASEAN scholarship, and I failed. So I applied to UK and I got in. So there you go. Part of furniture.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
So you're doing your PhD. I imagine from what you said, you're making a lot of friends.
Yes, it was also interesting because when I did my bachelor degree, a lot of my friends were naturally a lot of international students.
Okay.
And once they graduated, all dispersed back to their home country. So not a lot of friends hang around unless they're from the medics. So the medics stay because they have to do their F1, F2 residency all the way. So I was fine with that. But a lot of friends left. So then that left me to my great strength of new community, new friends again, and pull new group of people, PhD friends, and also.
So you weren't struggling with attachment,
probably not, and also then Facebook existed, and it was fine. So it was very much also back to my grandmother. The gem that she taught was, everything is temporary in this life. And she was never afraid of her death. Okay. She was never afraid of that.
And she was open about that in front of you?
Very. She organized her own funeral.
Okay.
Yeah, she was well ahead. She knew what she wanted to wear for her funeral. And no kidding. That's my grandmother's. that's the Pita Kapha was right there on the dot, so to me, it was almost every beginning has an end, and it's not linear, the ending, but it's a whole, a cycle. So that's the vision that my grandmother taught me, was it's always a full circle, and it's actually never ending. It's just transforming different forms. Again, there's so much of that wisdom that come through in my life that later on I understand. So I was never, in fact, the friendship deepened because I think as much as people was a little against social media, but to me, I've always have a very beautiful relationship with it because that's what connect me towards my friends all around and my family.
It's as toxic as we make it. If we're using it to distract from our own feelings and moments, or maybe we are following people, because I've heard people say, like, it's so toxic, the stuff that I see on social media, and I'm like, you get to choose who you follow. I follow Imelda, I follow Leo, I follow Ruben, I'm following people who I feel enrich my moments. If I spend 10 minutes a day just seeing what you guys are doing, I feel better for it. But I have been a victim of the death scroll once as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not absent of that either. I'm not absent. There are days when I don't think it's as bad for doom scrolling. I think it's almost like just the awareness of how your nervous system is, to the point that you need to numbed yourself through what it was television, I think.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what I
it's
grew up
watching
on,
the news replay in the background, or what it was is our doom scrolling now. And I don't think it's, unless it became an addiction or routine. I think it's allow yourself to be it. That's what's available to have it. I think what's more important is to notice the energy underneath of every action that you're doing.
That's what I'm always trying to look at.
As you do that, you feel guilty, then maybe what you need to observe is the guilt pattern, not so much of the action itself, because the action is merely the expression. So maybe that's what you should do, because to me it's like, fine.
That's exactly the message I'm glad that you've just shared, because that's what I believe, the intention behind what you're doing, the energy behind what you're doing is so much more important than what actually is being done.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you've already been given quite a good platform to build upon by your mum, by your grandmother.
Yep.
You've now, sounds like you've passed the PhD?
Yeah, so it's a long time ago now. I'm 20, long time ago, decade long.
I started doing that and I'm like, has it been that long? How is that possible?
Yeah, it's been a while, yeah.
So what did we do going from there then?
You know, I wasn't very sure in my career. I often share this with people. If you're not sure what is the next step, go for what is next that feel lightest and what calls you there and then, and never be afraid that that is a stacking, that there is a thread that always connects you throughout. You might not realize it, but if you just take the steps of what calls you really loud. And at time I was very curious about, I was very curious with intellectual property law and business law. So I was very much into that world, and that's what I took a master's degree in.
Okay.
And so I had my master's degree after my PhD, and I think it gave me insights which, now I look back, it has helped me so much in my career now. But at time, I was not aware why I was even doing that. You know, I seem to be always double tasking or double tasking. It's always a breath and then the depth in each of what I'm doing. So, and I enjoy that. That's just part of me. That's part of who my role is in this life.
Well, I mean, I did law in A-level.
Ah, okay.
And I enjoyed the criminal side.
Uh-huh.
But when it started getting to like civil law and that, it was like, oh my God. And then I did sociology as well. So I put them both together and that equaled criminology. And I was a party boy. I wasn't disciplined like you. I was just... And chaos would probably be the right way to sum up my university life. So yeah, it sounds like that discipline really served you well, though.
Yeah, I didn't enter the party life until rightly wrongly my final year.
Okay. How was that for you then? When Party Girl Imelda came out?
Final year is when I started, ooh, this is cool. I think it's also the awareness of apparently it was okay to party and study. I think there was that concept of being such a good Asian background coming in. There's that transition of culture of associating that party is bad, but that's not true.
Okay.
You know, and that was only in my final year realizing, no, I still trust I'm a good person. Again, I always talk about, like, on my Instagram account about definition of good person could be so skewed by what we condition was.
Who even defined who a good person was for you to then define it?
Yeah, but actually the closer you are to your sense of self, you started to realize, I think the party isn't a bad person.
You're allowed to have a bit of fun.
I know, and then the rest is history.
My issue was I had too much fun and not enough of the work.
You're still here. So.
It went exactly how it was meant to.
Exactly.
I can't imagine myself ever being a criminologist. I don't know that. Like, you know, for me, you're asking an 18-year-old what they want to do for the rest of their life. I had no idea.
Yeah.
If I could see now that I taught meditation,
Yeah.
I'd be like, that's a parallel universe, like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
When I first told my old friends, I'm now a teacher. I was the kid who used to get suspended. I used to just run away from school. But then, because I did have the ability and I enjoyed to learn, I would then pass the tests. And the teacher would be, but you weren't even in class. But I was in the sun revising. I like history. I just don't like the way you teach it.
Yeah.
But it's about you. So you've now done your law masters.
Yeah.
You've realised you like a bit of a party.
Yeah, but then I think it was quite interesting time. Which I also always juggle a few things in between. Always started by, I was very good at looking for knocking doors opportunity.
Okay.
I think it's the curiosity side of me and the limitless type of energy that my mom implement. And so I always like very curious and knocking doors. So even at time I was already have a lot of part-time left, right, center, not necessarily for the financial, but mostly for curiosity. So I was in the pharmaceutical industry and was
So it wasn't financially motivated, it was more the
I mean a
experience.
lot of those were unpaid. You know,
Okay.
there's a lot of shadowing work, internships and collecting projects, and there was a lot of that which again stacking. Take the steps and just curiosity to see who you meet and connect with. Yeah.
So where do we go from there then? Do we eventually...
I'll work in multiple different sectors. Well, sectors, I say sectors. It's still pharmaceutical, manufacturing of the cancer drugs itself.
So you still were going down that...
Science path, very much. I'm still in science path.
Can you tell me what is it about that speaks to you so much?
I found medicine was very restrictive in a sense of, this is stereotyping totally, of matching symptoms with diagnosis, and my brain was far too fidgety to then, I'm pretty sure if I stick with that path, there is a path that could open up a different way, like just so many ways of Dr. House. I'm pretty sure there are so many ways, but I think for me it was what's behind the scene of this, you know, and frankly...
What's more the cause?
Yeah, but frankly, when I did my PhD, it wasn't what I thought it was. And then when I entered the pharmaceutical industry, it wasn't what I thought it was.
Okay.
And when every time I entered something, it was almost out of curiosity and explore. And when it's no longer aligned with me, then I was not afraid to leave that industry and knocking other doors. But I was never that kind of super brave entrepreneur who drop up college and jump. I was always have a plan B on the side already, but never thought of it as a plan B. It was almost like, because I'm so used to having multiple hats, it's always like, oh, this is, I'm shifting towards this path. And it was pretty smooth transition.
Okay.
So, from which I was then working with startups for a little bit on the side to help them raise funding, which is related to science as well in medical device. And subsequently, I realized the people who have money is the one that's actually far more convenient and far more comfortable. So then I jump ship towards becoming an investor in biotech sector.
Okay.
So, which is leading to where I am today. Still, I've been with the company for 7 years plus, and still enjoying every single day out of it.
Can you explain to us what that is then?
Sure. It's to put it simply, it's Dragon's Den or Shark Tank.
Okay.
But way cooler than that because we invest in science.
Oh, cool.
We invest in life sciences, and that includes therapeutic drugs, cancer drugs, immunology, medical device. So these are things that used in human body, in hospitals, or medical technology that's involved diagnostics. These are things that way cooler, according to me, than Dragon's Den and Shark Tank. And my role is to look at these opportunities and decide whether this is something that we can invest in. And if you think about my background, have the medics, science, intellectual property that I need to ask, the business side of things, the cash flow and the accountancy part of things, and those are all collected throughout to come to this point now. But back then, I had no clue what VC even is, a venture capitalist. At time, no clue. And yet, here is where I am at my happiest point in my career, with such a beautiful team around me and beautiful company, which is really lucky because a lot of people work in finance industry, either private equity or venture capitalists. They don't have the lifestyle or energy beneath that
It aligns with what already is your truth.
Beautifully so, because of the people, because of the mission of the company. I feel so
What is
at
the mission,
ease.
by the way?
This is quite insane. We started as a pretty small company. I remember my office was 2 desks and we're sharing that. And now we have 14 sites across UK. And the mission is to grow the whole UK biotech sector. So we are no longer playing a game of, because we have real estate arms and then we have the accelerator programs to help a lot of the scientists to come through to commercialization, and I sit in the investment arm. And these 3 triangles merged together, supporting the startups and ideas to grow, has become such a great business model that we expanded across UK. And the mission is to continue to grow the science landscape in the UK by providing them the real estate, providing the support, the accelerator programs, as well as the financial capital to support them. So I think with that, such a coherent alignment, and everybody in the team background is either medics or science. So we're all scientists.
You understand.
We're scientists at heart, really. Basically, what I'm saying, we're all nerds and geeks at heart.
I'm a nerd too, man. I'm here
so we just presented ourselves with the one with the capital.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's a very different atmosphere to typical Dragon's Den of how cunning we want 40% of the company and so on. So it's,
you're not sat there going, well, I'm out.
I mean, we do that a lot too, but...
It's a no from me.
I actually do say
that. Oh, yeah, bloody hell.
Oh my goodness. Yes, I do say it as a no for me. Oh man, my team.
I might get a camera and just start recording.
We do say that a lot, but we choose what is in line with us because we don't want to just give them money. It has to be in line with what we can also offer in terms of knowledge. Because once we invest, we sit as board director in a company and we help the company grow with our knowledge, with our background.
So you can't just be willy-nilly.
It's not about bank capital or debt financing, where VC that's very much involved in the growth of the company. I always say, people ask in the industry itself, when people ask what's your role, I always say unicorn babysitter. So it kind of have a play on words because unicorn could mean $1 billion company, and I'm the babysitter because we invested early stage, but it could also mean it's a bit of a unicorn opportunity in the science itself. Here's one thing that no one else in the world is doing, and we're at the forefront of that. Yes, it's pretty insane. Sometimes when I listen to the scientists share their research, it's almost like we are beyond genius at this point. Oh my god, you guys like
movie
insane
stuff.
Yeah, very sci-fi, incredibly sci-fi. Some of this.
Can you give us any examples?
Yeah. So one investment. So cancer cells becoming smarter and smarter. So the reason why a lot of therapeutic drugs cannot target the cancer cells efficiently is because the cancer cells grow a moat. Say they are the castle, they grow a little moat around them. And this is called the extracellular matrix, right? This is the cozy moat around it. And when there's a moat, then any warrior that come again, they can't pass to the castle, right? So any drug that want to enter to the nuclei, they cannot because there is a moat. So this company that we invest in, Neotherapeutics, they designed the genetic engineer bacteria to become a Trojan horse. So essentially the bacteria carry the drug of whatever they need as a Trojan horse backpack.
We have a gift for you.
Yeah, we have a gift for you. And this bacteria's job is to destroy the extracellular matrix so that they can then pass through that and deliver the drug straight into the cell. It's pretty insane.
amazing,
And
yeah.
there's another company that's then the job is almost developing. I don't know whether you have a vision of what virus look like, with the legs out.
Like, I feel like I have like a green
with
ball with pink
the
little legs, a little,
yeah, with the legs
little
and
teeth.
so something along those lines. So it's a phage essentially, and what they do is essentially attach their legs. Think of like a rocket type thing. They attach the leg onto the cancer. They're like entering it, landed, and then they will release the syringe, which carry the drugs into the nuclei directly. For example, it's very sci-fi.
It's like nanotechnology.
It is nanotechnology. It is nanotechnology. So this is part of the biotech is nanotechnology. So there's another company that we invested in. It's called Nanosyringe.
Okay.
And that's Nanosyrinx. What they do is nano syringes that they deliver the drugs, pop in. It's pretty cool
That's
stuff.
fascinating.
It's really insane. And I feel so blessed to get to explore this path and to contribute both sides from the commercializations, but the knowledge. Frankly, I feel that I'm always the one learning. Whenever they pitch come in, I'm always like so in awe.
You're not bored.
No, never the same. It's pretty insane.
And are these particular companies with this technology looking promising? The results?
Very much so. We invested some of this a couple of years ago, some of this only last year, and so far the preliminary data is showing incredibly positive data. It is in vivo data, but it's disease models, and it's pretty,
We can only deal with where we're at, and where we're at's looking optimistic.
Yes, and it's continue to grow. I know people are super against the whole. When I say people, I mean in the yoga community, there's a little bit of against pharmaceuticals and so on. But
I know a lot of that community, and it is almost like baby out with the bathwater. It's just, they're bad guys.
Yeah.
And I even almost feel that programming myself.
I mean, I am literally sitting right in between the yoga spiritual world and the whole business, finance, pharma world.
Which is really important. It's important we have somebody like you who has both grandmother's wisdom but also Cambridge's.
Like a very pull it in together. And to me, again, actually what my grandmother taught me is never to see things just using your eyes, your human eyes, because what's underneath, if we can share what is actually still the love beneath that, what is the intention beneath that, they really open and crack open. There's so much beauty still in this. So much beauty in this scientist who is really their passion, this is their gift in this life, that they are not afraid of funneling out. Like, I have huge salute for them. And as we know, doctors and scientists, they don't get paid much or enough in this country.
Not nearly enough for what they're doing.
And yet these are their babies, their genius that they birth out, and they're not afraid of birthing that out. And my role is to choose the project and to trust them with this and grow together, right? And it's like almost, it's not always what on the surface of pharmaceutical and so on. And ultimately, I don't think people realize how much money is involved to plow into the research itself. The number of projects that fail. All of this that's mentioned could still fail.
Yeah.
Of course, we are betting on it's working.
It's still a gamble, though.
The number, it is intelligent gamble, essentially. Still gambling. Somebody just recently coined me as professional gambler. I'll take that.
We'll get you down to the casino. Right?
Professional gambler, I'll take that. And I think it's a beautiful aspect of life to not be afraid of pursuing what's there and
not being afraid of failure.
Yeah, not afraid of failure.
All success is built on the failings before, but we learn from it, we learn from it.
Yeah, because the idea of this company, the community scientists, they built their small company called startups, essentially starting up, and then it will eventually get either go public, IPO, or they get bought by pharmaceutical companies because they have bigger capital to then bring it to the market. So it's I mean, what do you want to do? Do you want to just science sit there on a shelf, or do you want this to go out there? Yes, it might sound like this is all about capitalism, money, and so on, but there's so much underneath this too. At the end of the day, it's also a learning not to be afraid of profit, right? And there is something about the yoga community that learning about the relationship towards money.
I'm the same. I feel outrageous asking for someone to pay me for a one-to-one.
Yeah.
But it's like I can't pay my bills with goodwill. I can't invest into something because I don't have the capital to do so.
And even with that, I think there is an energy underneath that of perhaps also deserving. There is that underlying energy about relationship with money, because if you really connect with yourself deeply, you know that actually money is an energetic currency, which is an energy, current energy. It's in the form of money. It's simply a tool that we get to use living in this human life, not bypassing any spiritual stuff. It's using the energetic currency to flow through us. And we know if we have a deep sense of self, we know where we're going to funnel to deserving places. And I think that involves a really strong relationship towards ourselves, which is trust. Can we trust ourselves enough to know what is a good person? To know that you are a good person. So don't be afraid of a lot of money, because you know where you're gonna funnel it to. Imagine the events that you can create even in the yoga world. Imagine it's go bigger and bigger.
Well, that's my purpose is to learn how to alleviate my own suffering, so I make sure others how to do, and we can live more peacefully. So any way of doing that on a mass scale is at some point in this society going to need financial backing. So I can say, all right, my session is etc. But that is going towards my purpose. So I'm fine with it. I know that it's not just me. Like I have a grander purpose behind this, and this is just a means to an end. So you've said about this one that sounds optimistic, but is the one that's actually come to fruition?
Yes, fruition in the sense of they managed to receive the investment and showing positive, if that's the company, startup.
Yeah, I mean, the way I'm thinking is because it's like, is that potential right now in terms of like the result, in terms of, you said it, the nanotechnology will insert a syringe.
It's still quite far. This is super beginning of the journey.
So what I'm thinking of is there any other companies that you've been a part of investing in that aren't just at the beginning, but you've now seen them working?
Yes,
could you give us an example?
There are quite a few. So we invest super early, what we call, so in the financial industry, there's a call pre-seed, meaning it's before even a seed stage, there's a small amount of money.
So you really are a gambler.
And then seed, we are absolutely, this is sounding more and more closer to that.
I love it.
And then there's a series A, B, C, and so on and so on. Okay. And what we invest in pre-seed and seed stage, so this is bringing a lot of the science research come to commercialization stage. So a lot of those where we are now, been with the company for 7 years plus, the companies that's probably now starting to see they're raising Series A, where per financial terms wise, between 10 million to 35 million.
Okay.
They are starting to get into that serious, okay, now we're on. And yet the research still carry on. And I think this is what a lot of people don't understand, how much money is needed in order to run the experiments, to hire the scientists. You say we want to equal a fair salary for scientists. We hire best of the best to try that. So there's a lot of journey, and I think we're starting now to see things that's coming ready to market. Okay. So for example, therapeutics will take a lot longer to enter the market because of the experiments, but medical device is less. Okay. So it takes less time, like I said, maybe in a 5-year window that we're hoping to have, starting to see it enter the market and so on. 8 years hopefully is a exit. I need to retire. So exit. So we're currently a lot of things that's already in the market. For example, as recently we invested in a company called bio-fertility. So I always chuckle when this one come into as an example. It's a medical device in the fertility industry, where helping couple as well as single women, anyone who with a uterus, would like to have kids. And what they use is a medical device that look a little bit like turkey baster. Oh my God, found the test. I'm sorry. And essentially, it's pulling the sperm and place it into the device and then the device up into the cervical.
Okay.
So instead of a lot of devices where they sit into the vagina, but this is going up all the way to the cervical, which is the ICI. And this then cut out the time for those who is waiting for the IVF, which is really costly. Whereas with this, you can do it at home, and it is a lot safer than using turkey baster, which, by the way, does not go to your cervix. Not yours, but it does not.
Yeah, I've never tried that.
No. So it's also, and what is mind-blowing is that you think, oh, why not just having intercourse? It's the same thing, intercourse, and then lift your legs up and stay there for a while. It's the same thing. What's different is that what we notice once it's out in the market, we have some data showing 38% of success rate, meaning that there is a super high, imagine it, almost half of people trying this have success pregnancy. And these are people who actually not only have either conditions, endometriosis, or any sperm conditions from the partner or the donation sperm donor. And these are actually showing success because I think it's also one mainly, we don't know what the cause of that, but mainly maybe it's less stressed also.
Okay.
And it could also be that there is a cup that's being released and sit on top for the sperm to actually incubate so that the sperm can swim up to the uterus a lot quicker.
Okay.
There are multiple reasons that why this could be. And this device is not necessarily, it was done in 1970s, 80s before, and it was wiped out because obviously it didn't look like what it is now. It was more like a torture machine.
Okay, not quite as sophisticated.
No, not as what it is now.
It was just a turkey baster before.
Yeah, probably is, to be fair. And this is something that for me, to be able to see the result out in the market, actually these are couples who have been trying, the data that we collected, it's a couple who's been trying at least 2 years, and suddenly 38% of them managed to get pregnant.
That must be a moment where you just sit back, because
yeah.
You've mentioned, because obviously you are in both worlds.
Yes.
You're in the spiritual, but you're also in the sort of like more materialistic, and you were saying about the pharmaceutical side being vilified.
Yeah.
How has that played a part in your life? Because everything isn't love and light. We do.
Yes, of course.
So could you give the audience a bit of an idea about how that's affected you?
Personally, very interesting. Maybe this is how I live my life. Now that you ask this question, before I put anything as villain, somehow it's probably a coping mechanism, to be fair. I always see the what's underneath that first. It never really impacted me in terms of pharmaceutical being so quote unquote known as greedy, and so on. I always just see it, that's part of the human experience. And actually the way you view that says more about how you are towards you. So I was never, maybe because the way I was brought up was rarely villainizing, is that a word? Villainizing things. So maybe that's why it was never embedded in me. Okay. So I would say it has not impacted in me in such a way. What have impacted me is when there are certain friends that I'm very close with have such a strong view towards that, then maybe what I could offer is a different angle to that, like what it could have brought to people's lives.
So rather than you reacting out of a defensive mechanism against their defensive mechanism, because clearly there's something that's happened to them that's led them to have such a strong opinion, seeing them for just who they are and saying, have you thought about it this way? To give them a new angle to maybe just alleviate that, because there's probably a lot of mistrust. We have there is plenty of examples where people have been really hurt. So obviously they look into that and think, well, then we can't trust anybody. Almost like that baby out with the bathwater example.
And I think, and it is also not denying that's their perspectives, because it must be true for them from their lens, in their view. And I think that is very much we all live in this world. We think we live in one world, but we all live in our individual world.
Imelda's world, Michael's world.
Yeah, my reality and the other reality, we're orbiting in our own sphere, right? And I think it's another way to bring the heart together is not to judge also the other aspects of that, because that is true. That is the conditioning that they were brought up, and my conditioning was very different. And it doesn't mean that whether that is any better or less, actually.
Okay.
I think there's definitely that. I think that way also, I think the way I see a lot of challenges in life is pretty much also the same. You see, it's like we could zoom into the problem, or I guess this pick back up to the meditation point, we could zoom into life challenges and keep zooming into the problem, or we could step back and say, maybe this is a unique canvas of how I could express my love so that it become visible in this situation.
So Michael's the name, meditation is the game, and Meditation with Michael has now launched its very own website. Everything I'm doing is going to be on there, from meditation classes which you can join in person, catch up if you missed one, or just join online from the comfort of your own home. One-to-one sessions. We've got loads of freebies like the chakra meditations, and we've also got a new 10-day beginners course. So if you really want to build that strong foundation, I've suffered with anxiety, depression, suicidal tendencies. I've lost family members. I've been an addict, unhealthy relationships coming out my ears. Meditation was the panacea. Learning how to sit with any sensation that arises really just helps you to master that patience, and those who master patience, well, they master everything else. So I want to pass that on. It is my purpose to alleviate my own suffering, show others how to do the same, and we can all live more peacefully. It sounds all right, that, doesn't it? So this website is a lovely little hub for you to find everything I'm doing, from the ecstatic dances to the floating meditation journeys. I'll put a link in the description. Go check out meditationwithmichael.co.uk and awaken the power within. Peace and love, guys.
Maybe after all, these life challenges presented for me to experience so that I have a space to share my way of loving me at the end of the day. It's like my connection to me, which then come into the expression onto the canvas, right? So that has been very much embedded in the way I live, yeah.
So I want to bring in that other side now then. So we've gone down the sort of the career path, the technical side, what we're doing, but every time you're speaking, I can see there's this sort of other side to you. So talk to me about that. What is it that we're bringing in there?
You mean the other side?
When I met you, you're teaching yoga.
Yes.
At the start of this, you're doing a lovely handpan meditation for us. So that's not, to me,
interesting.
Where's all this coming from?
Interesting, because I guess even the question made me question. Because maybe I realized I never see it as the other side.
Okay, you see it all as just one thing.
Yes, which is so interesting within the question itself. That's why I have to clarify, what do you mean the other side? Is there another side? So I would say, I understand the question now. And for me, yoga is my way of living. And it goes so far beyond the practice of movement. I think as a lot of yoga teachers and students also aware that they experience it themselves. Oh, it's not about whether you can live your leg high up as possible.
How flexible can you be?
Yes.
I saw something in America which is competitive yoga, and I was like, I don't...
In India, actually started in India.
Okay.
Interestingly.
And I feel like that goes against...
But again, even within that, I started to also pause and think, maybe that's also cool. Why not? It brings a discipline to get to a point that you are gonna have to hit this handstand super straight. Like if that brings you to your mat every day.
Again, it's about getting to there. What cracked open the heart?
Yes.
Okay.
If that cracks open your heart, good for you. Take that. I would take that if that cracked my heart open.
I mean, I can see just from every time I'm asking a question, like how your mind is so open. so open, and it's like, do you know what? Let's look at it from this angle then. There's none of your egoic attachment to how you, that's my belief and that isn't, like, you're just like, go on then. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, and but it is true, because when I saw it actually in India, actually competition on yoga poses, firstly, I think they were judged by how creative and then how flexible, like how really not just like toes over the head, but how can you fold yourself even deeper. And you think, well, you know what, there's a lot in this too, to come to this point. It's just maybe not my path. It does not, it's
Although
not
I
my
think
interest.
from what I've seen of you, you do all right.
Interestingly, it's the after effect. Does it make sense? It's not... so when I practice my breath before the pose. Even within the pose itself is how connected are my feet to the ground versus also my head to the sky, and how is my breath flowing from bottom of my spine all the way up in whatever pose I'm in. So it's the breath that makes the shapes. So for example, even say I'm a little slanted in my position right now, and pretty sure this is not the most flowy breath I can do. And if I prioritize my breath first, suddenly I'm like, oh, maybe actually this would flow me up a little better, and this might not flow better. So it's almost like the breath is what guides me to have this shape.
I resonate with that. I mean, I will spend just, you know, Emma saying I've done Vipassana, and I'll just do 30 minutes Anapana. And I start noticing that I just start going.
Hats off with that.
Yeah, it's definitely been a journey, that one, but it was like, it gets to the point now where I'm like just almost enjoying noticing the imbalances, but then not rushing or that judgment, that guilt. It's like, oh, I'm a meditation, I shouldn't be having any, like, oh, that's interesting.
No, this is respecting how the breath wants to flow and how the body is not. I always say the body is a two-way conversation.
Okay.
We have a lot of this, listen to your body, listen to your body. I think we get very good at that. On reverse, how would you like to command your body?
Okay.
What would you like your body to have, to feel, and to be? Have you commanded your body? Because at the end of the day, we're here to live the human body experience. And would you command it to feel whatever it wants to feel? Have you commanded your body? What do you want the body to have?
I mean, it's interesting that you say that, because a lot of the time I am just being like, and it's like, when you do actually want to bring joy in, joy does come in.
Yes.
If you feel how a joyful person is, you become joyful.
Yeah.
You can start fake laughing and you'll just start feeling better. And I guess, and I'm interested actually, I'd like to ask this question. I have this almost guilt about manipulating the body and being like, almost saying like, how you feeling right now isn't acceptable. So I want to manipulate you into feeling a different way. And it almost... And maybe I'm too empathetic, but I'm curious, what's your opinion?
I have some thoughts on that I could share. You know, it's there's something about toxic positivity, of course, especially in the community. It's not just in yoga community. I think generally there's this good vibe only thing, which actually is an escape, as you just alluded to.
That's funny how you say that. My socks say good vibes.
For me, if the bad vibes is what I needed to experience in order for me to express the canvas of how I draw, bring it on.
100%.
Like, and it's then linked back to what you said. There's a, from what I understand, you said there's an energy of guilt, or there's a little bit of guilt to that. And to me,
it's the rejection of those energies that are in.
What is.
I'll reject you so I can change it, and it almost feels like right doing that.
Yeah, I have something about that. You know, resurrection, the word resurrection, come back from the death. It's not going to mean resurrection if it happens after the problem is already solved. It's no longer called resurrection. It's no longer called from death to life. And we all have the power within us to choose to resurrect. And we all have our forms of crucifixion. Our crucifixion could be whatever suffering, the divorce, the wanting to have a partner, to want to have more money. choose whatever crucifixion that you have. You are nailed to that wood. And it is a choice whether we want to continue to carry the wood with us, or do we decide this is getting heavy. I'm going to come off the wood. I'm going to resurrect myself. And I think that is giving the human side of us the power, which I really believe this is what universe wants us to experience. It's the brilliance, it's that awareness of like, should we have so much more power than we thought or gave ourselves, how limited our mind versus the power that resides within us.
Almost owning that power.
Yeah, own that power to say, come off. And Marianne Williamson, part of the Course in Miracles, said, come off the wood. Somebody else needed the wood. Like, so it always cracked me up and thinking, that's right. That's right. It's a choice. And one crucifixion to one problem in life, one past story in life, you continue to carry and carry and carry. And how many woods?
Yeah,
some people carry 10 woods, and then you break down. And that's why I think when you break down, when you decide to come off from the wood, there's a sense of you're lost in your world. There's some conversation amongst friends and students where I feel really lost. And I always say congratulations, because this is the beginning. Because you finally shed off all the safety blanket. You haven't stayed in the comfort
zone of what's already known. Embrace the mystery.
Yeah, and also it's a point that you started to release the safety blanket of things that you thought would provide you the safety. And you decided to come off naked. And people who are feeling lost, a little naked, you feel a little bare because you don't raw.
Vulnerable.
And I think congratulations, you are really centering yourself so much more. Now the option is limitless. When you are hooked onto the word, the cross, you are limited to that world, to that view,
the ego
to that lens.
craves what it already knows because at least it knows it.
Yes.
It can predict.
Yes, I say that. And also, I think it is what a blessing that this is what our brain is for.
Definitely.
Our brain, the limbic system, is there to provide survival. So it is the brain's job to constantly find...
Thank God.
to constantly find what is familiar, to how can I survive, and how can I make sure that I don't experience pain again. So...
how valuable is that?
Yeah, and that is part of it. But I always say when we put our hands together and bow our head, to me, and what I also share with students a lot, is to bow your logical mind towards something greater in your heart. Like humble that head down, and when you bring your left hand, your right hand, it's just a sense of feminine, masculine, centering of the yin and yang together in front of your heart, truly center, and to bow that, what you know, the neurons that constantly fire the same way, to bow that towards something that's far greater. And I think that is just so...
No, it's very...
it's beautiful. And coming back to your question of coming to this, and I think it's knowing that, own it when you shift from, okay, I'm going to jump up and down now. But also allow yourself to have time to be in the desert and be with it. And that anxiety, that fear, that body ickiness, it's there to start with. And I always say it's an opportunity to really sit that we majority of us are not taught how to be with pain. So what we know best is to jump straight to happiness or joy or distraction in whatever forms it is. But the beauty is the pain is there to alert us of something that we have embedded for so long. And can we use our breath to be with it, and the pain will intensify? Can we still be with it and trust that that is one of the many ways to dissolve it finally once and for all? And this includes physical pain. That is not avoiding the physical ache and pains and headache and so on. Can we be with it and actually seek understanding of what's being called to surface.
Well, that was the power of the Vipassana for me.
Ah, of course.
I went 7 days, and I won't bore the audience who've heard me speak to other guests about it, but the pain was more than I'd ever experienced, and I've been beaten up or, accidents, whatever, but this in my back and my knees was incredible.
Wow.
And it was only when I went on like 7 days, 70 hours, I just went, okay, so it's fucking pain then. It's pain. I've not died from the other pain. I won't die from this. And I started going into it.
Yes, lean towards and actually want to amplify the pain.
You should have seen me. I was building a seat. I was going higher and higher, and my girlfriend's looking, what's he bloody doing? And the teacher's like, you can't be higher than me. And I'm like, all right, I'm just trying to avoid the pain. And he was like, go in. Go into it. What is the vibration and the wisdom of insight, rather than the logical mind trying to figure it out to really get rid of it?
Yes.
Just breathe, like you said, breathe into it. What is that? Not to have the analytical mind or the judgmental, but with the curious mind that you seem to really embody.
Yeah.
What are you?
Yeah, even the feeling of that, and it's a whole, often when any event occur in our life or any interaction, we go straight to the head first, which is part of what the brain's job is to start with the brain first. But it is also our power to start with the body first. Do we even notice when we respond to certain event, we slouch, or do we open our heart? Is my belly contracting? Do I feel like there's something on my throat? Doesn't matter what it means, but recognize that our body has all the nervous system wired to it. This is not even the woo-woo stuff.
It's so sophisticated. It took an eternity to perfect, and in my 33 years, I've not learned more than it has. Yeah,
I mean, it's the whole polyvagal theory is lean upon this. It goes far beyond sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. There's so much more in the ventral vagal complex and dorsal vagal complex. And to be able to then allow the body to also have the power to tell you things beyond just this. Because if we process it through only the mind, again, that's the neurons that's already fired up first will tell you first. I'm almost like a little too slow. By the time I recognize my body, I got the answer already, brain. So I am now myself right now very much actively noticing how my body is feeling first. And not necessarily to seek the answer, but curiosity of where in the body I'm feeling that.
And when did that start coming about? Because obviously, I just want people to be aware of the journey you've been on.
Yes.
Like this hasn't been your constant state from childhood.
No, not at all. I was very cerebral. Just through the whole degree collection of degrees.
But you're clearly very intelligent.
There's the IQ bit that's definitely gifted and well utilized and very grateful for. And there is something about the sensitivity or intuition that was always there, but perhaps not have the tools to say that was safe to lead your life with. Okay. And I think it took me maybe the past 4 years, and it took my wrist, to be fair, to start really. I was
going to bring us up to that.
It was truly in a powerful way of recognizing, wow, shoot, we are insanely powerful here. Like, claim it. I mean, why wouldn't you? Don't delay claiming this. We are a miracle. Like, and use it. And this body. I think definitely since the wrist, I've become so much more sensitive to vertebra to vertebra. It would tell me so much of my flow. Where does it get stuck? Will give me a lot of hints of what is the energy? What is it that's telling me? There's a wisdom within that, like you said earlier, far more than knowledge. And so much more powerful. Yes. It's almost able to recognize sensitivity in the non-local mind. We have our local mind, which is our brain, and then the non-local mind is the consciousness that we all share. And I mean, if I could drop off a tangent to the story of a slime mole story. So do you know slime mole, the little...
It rings a bell.
The mole, basically the mole, but it's slimy. And it's... I'm pretty sure it was out in public quite a bit. they did an experiment in putting a Tokyo as where the slime mold is, and then they put oat flakes and the major metropolitan cities around Tokyo, and then let the slime mold.
And it made the most efficient way. Yes, I do know this, and it's so intelligent. It just went to the and then they built around that.
Yes,
so smart.
They built the most efficient pathway, which then it matched very closely to what the Tokyo subway looks like. But the Tokyo subway is already built, but how does the mold know that? Slime mold does not have any brains. There's no brain. There's no neurons. There's no neurons electrical charges. There's no electrical charges.
Not the way we would imagine intelligent minds.
No. So therefore, there is something else. There's a greater intelligence that's driving this being, whatever this mold is, right? And to me, that's like beautiful. And there's more and more research into non-local mind. The book from Dawson Church highlight that quite a lot, mind to matter.
Okay.
And it shows a lot of how frequencies, wavelengths of our brains, and how does that translate into the animal kingdom. And I think there's so much that we need to learn still. Like, even from the probably indigenous community.
Well, we've had the Huni Kuin. We've had Kawa from the Huni Kuin on.
I don't know much about that.
And
I'd love to learn more.
It's just being around them and just being. It's almost like the arrogance makes us blind to this depth of wisdom that those communities still hold.
Oh, I have so much respect and so much that I would love to learn more. Like my genuine curiosity right now is to explore this path, which what Dr. Joe Dispenza is very much into on the non-local mind space. As a neuroscientist himself, it's done in a very methodical way and measured way. That's like a beautiful alignment for me to seek
that's
the whole.
Right
it's definitely my that's definitely my
Dr.
path.
Joe, she
yes, definitely, absolutely. I mean, huge respect. I mean, he has opened up many doors that I did not even know exist, and through my wrist, I opened my door to him and opened my door to so many other things that I perhaps already knew to start with, but I resisted.
Okay, so can you bring us?
Sure.
Let the audience know, because when I first met you, you did mention that you had an issue with the wrist.
Yes.
So what's this?
Beginning of last year, January last year, there was a diagnosis for my wrist that there was no blood flow to the wrist bone, and it's a rare disease called Kinbox disease.
Okay.
And the statistics are only 3 in a million. So
lucky you then.
I know, how lucky, right? And genuinely lucky is the greatest gift I've ever received, because it awakened me like no other. It's the biggest slap I have.
So, universal hand just went.
Oh my goodness, it wasn't gentle. And it was, there was, because bone is an alive thing, it requires blood flow. When there is no longer any blood flow, the bone died, necrosis. And the bone died, it crumbled. And there's different stages. By the time I was actually going to see the surgeon, it was diagnosed, the diagnosis was at stage 3C. At times it was late stage, essentially debilitating, which at time also I compensated with my left wrist, which I tore the TFCC.
So that's been overworked as a result.
Both hands. It took both hands for me to then walk into the doctor, and I pretty loud. Sorry, universe.
Okay, what do you want to tell me?
Yeah. It took me. You know what? Actually, it took me. It took me to the point I could not be on my hands and knees when I demo.
Really?
I could not put my hands down and knees down, and that's modification already for a downward dog or any start, and I could not do that. So
and for somebody of your skill level, I can imagine
it was just. I mean, it's anyone with healthier limbs would be able. Hands and knees is pretty standard, baby crawling, right?
Michael level.
Oh, come on. No, I've seen your practice. and it's not about also that, but it's awareness of also, for me, it's also awareness of the energetic pattern of what I had. Is to burden and sacrifice so much before I then say, I can't do this anymore.
Okay.
And so that...
So it has to get to a certain point. Is there some sort of fear behind that?
And interestingly, whatever your energy pattern is, that's also how you carry with your other parts of your life.
Okay.
That also means how you earn. It's also how you are with your partner. It's also how you are with your friends. You feel like you have to sacrifice a lot in order to deserve the love from your partner, from your friends. You have to do something or be a certain way.
This was actually manifesting in other areas of your life.
Of course. It's all the same. And once you burn through the energetic pattern itself, then the rest solves itself. Which is why I said this is the greatest gift I've ever received.
Okay.
Because, my God, this is no longer even about the bone. I am like, bloody hell, even that alone already got me the greatest gift, because it smoothened my path. Like, apparently I no longer needed to sacrifice or make myself, whatever I value and trade into the space. And yeah, and at that time it was my hand turned blue, the blood flow was restricted, and the option, it was really hard for me because I couldn't shower.
Okay.
And I needed a caretaker to come
bad.
Yes, from someone who was handstanding, and who was really pretty much upside down most of the time, to suddenly it was humbling is not even the word there. And so then it comes to a point where I realized, okay, there's something a lot more in this. It's not even about coming back as a yoga teacher. That is no question for me. I would come back regardless. So many ways to still teach and share, right?
Your mind's just not even looking at...
No, that was not even...
You're almost looking at the other ways you could do it.
No, it was not even... It was just done. To me, that was done. That's not the... For me, it was more the long term. Right? It's thinking that, gosh, if I have to have caretaker, this is like, hang on. We're not talking even day-to-day life stuff. And... So I took time out, and because of the industry that I work in the science world, thankfully very, very connected with a lot of researchers around the world.
Someone's going to get it.
Yes, exactly. And again, it's not by chance, right?
Yeah.
This whole conditioning is not by chance.
How many times are we going to say coincidence before we see a pattern?
Yeah, it's definitely there. And it's almost like then I research, the whole journal paper is available. Again, not by chance that as a PhD, when I was doing, I'm so used to reading journal papers. I researched the whole thing under the sign about Kimbok's disease. And there was no solution that I was pretty much feel aligned with, because if it's at earlier stage, if it was diagnosed at earlier stage, there was a solution. Perhaps we're going to do a radial shortening, meaning cut off one of the radius, the bone, to become shorter, or a lot of, there are maybe about 5 to 10 more options.
Okay. So you're getting you're quite limited by this point.
Yeah. By this point, the option was proximal rhomboidectomy, which means to take out all of the bones, the bottom parts of bones, 3 bones at the bottom, remove those, including the healthy ones, and then stitch it back up, screw and stitch it back up. And that would purchase me, which, fine, there was a solution. It's a big decision, of course. So then I decided to purchase time. I said, give me 2 weeks. I told my surgeon, give me 2 weeks. I need to sit with this. Just sit. It's not that I avoided surgery. Again, it's not that in a yoga community avoiding surgery, hallelujah, and so on and so on. It was not why I avoided a surgery. It was a big decision. Let me sit with this. The reason why it was also, it didn't sit right with me, the research that I found, the pain will only disappear for 10, 15 years.
So it's not the long term.
It's not. And knowing the way I live, very active, I'd like to buy more time to be pain-free. So that was the decision then to say, can I have 2 weeks? Luckily, my surgeon Bless him. Is absolutely amazing. David Murray, shout out to you,
Shout out,
Mr.
David.
Murray. And he actually follows me on Instagram, which is pretty cool.
Well, you will see this, hopefully.
And I think it's zero ego. I mean, I've never met a surgeon who is like, take your time.
Okay.
And who is so willing to explore the journal paper with me, explore solution with me. And because now I shared with so many other surgeons around the world and researchers mainly, it become a case study.
Okay.
For the surgeon to then share, because it become like a medical mystery to find out what's the best solution that it could offer, so that I could still practice yoga and could still move the way I wanted it to be. And within that 2 weeks, I remember I continued teaching, by the way. I took 3 days off, and then I decided, let me just continue teaching. This is no. I must
Not letting it hold you back.
It would have driven me even more insane if I stayed at home. I think by being in the community, it felt like I was supported by the energy.
Okay.
I think, frankly, selfishly, that was why I taught. And so I'm absorbing the students' energy. Yeah, I'm just absorbing.
She doesn't care about you.
So thank you, guys. And it was within that 2 weeks. I remember I came to the realization that there's no human knows the solution for this except what was offered, proximal rhocopectomy. So I look up to this guy and I said, universe, I realized this is not a human thing to solve.
Okay.
So you better do your job. You have not been doing this job, darling. Get on with it, universe. You gotta get on. I remember because I look up to this guy's blue sky, beautiful sky. And it was like, I realized there and there that, hang on a minute, you have not done your job there. Like, so then I said, you do you. Well, I'm gonna promise you one thing. I do me. Okay. You do your magic. I'm gonna do me.
I mention this phrase a lot. Meet the universe halfway.
Yes. And that was what I did. And I realized, though, I have not done me.
Okay.
I have not celebrated. I have not shared my magic the way I wanted it to be and could be. Okay. I let certain things limit my own expression. So
Could you give us an example?
There's a lot of things. So even teaching the way I teach now was very different to how I taught 2 years ago.
How so?
The spiritual element, the phrasing of love, the understanding, the inner standing of love, was not so much in there. I think I was uncertain whether this would be welcome. And actually, even that is a lesson on its own, that the tribe will find you, right? You're drawn by the energetic sphere that you try. But no wonder that now I become so much more embedded. The people that I drew to my class is by magic. They also believe in magic. Most of my students have that halfway house thing, like either they are in the medics or science world, or they are open, but yet they are also open to energetic world. And it's how beautiful that I could be the bridge to deliver this. And it makes it super clear that this is why I'm here on earth. Super clear. So, and I did not deliver it in my full steam in that. And I think this has brought me to the point, I am not going to be afraid of sharing this. That's my magic. I get it now. That's my magic. And this is why I'm here. I'm going to promise you, universe, you do your magic. And I'm going to focus on being human. I'm going to focus on being human and focus on celebrating life. Because I realized I didn't celebrate. I didn't celebrate birthday. I didn't celebrate.
Really?
No, I was always so hesitant celebrating birthday. Birthday was in summer. And I think because I grew up here in summers and off time, didn't have a lot of friends, and I was homesick. And it was just year on year. Frankly, it was all stories that made up in my head. Yeah.
Well, we're celebrating you right now.
I admit that.
We are definitely celebrating
it was all stories. And actually this June was the first time I actually celebrated my birthday actively. Actively so. I actually pull people to celebrate it with me. Cheekily, I placed my retreat immersion on the week on my birthday.
Couldn't help herself, could she?
I was like, I forced everybody to actually come and celebrate it with me. whatever
it didn't
ways.
take much forcing.
So whatever, actually the students surprised me. It was so sweet.
There you go.
I love balloons, and they blew 84 balloons around. Not that I'm 84 years old. maybe I am. And it's like all balloons around the lecture, the shala itself. And I walked in, it was like balloons got thrown all over me.
I mean, you clearly inspired them to do that.
It was really sweet because the students also, they didn't know each other because they came from different countries. And to be able for them to unite.
Glued
Together and unite and share that experience with me. Oh man, my heart. Oh, it was so beautiful. And that is, to be honest, truly since that week 2 of February, I celebrated my life, and I said that what is very unique was the next day, because my hand was jammed basically.
Okay.
And the next day I could open one finger. And I remember I was like,
I'm getting tingles.
and then I jump up and down, like, and that's celebration. Yeah. Celebration does not mean you have to blow candles and balloons all the time. But if you actually get excited, that is celebration.
You're celebrating this moment.
Acknowledging the part of it, the magic part of it. And soon each finger starts to open. It was beyond what I could even witness with my head. And
so tell us, how did it feel then instead of the head?
Oh my goodness, my whole body was feeling very charged.
Okay.
And it was also the first time that I acknowledged that's energy that's flowing. I've always felt that throughout, but acknowledging it in such a different way where I have the power of this. Because usually when you feel the energy, it tends to come from external. Like you feel a certain, whatever it is that's bringing you to have that sensation in the body. Whereas this, I'm fully aware that I was the magician here. I was the wizard that's making this happen. And that felt
empowering, I imagine.
Super duper, like very different energy. And my feet also felt so much more grounded and very much like up. And that was insane experience. And it was so beautiful that it then came to a point that a lot of friends helped me to seek solution. And one of my very good friend in New York, Dominic, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Quattruccio. Thank you. And he gifted me Joe Dispenza's lectures. And it was, I can't remember how many modules, but it was modules after modules. He knew that if he just sent me to the meditation, I would have not done it. Because I've tried it a few times and I could not. Because, sorry, Joe Dispenza has this very Voldemort-like voice. Inhale.
It's not a meditation with mine.
No, but subsequently I really appreciate that voice because it actually took you somewhere else. And
I mean, to be fair, I have people, and some of them, when they're from Manchester, they laugh when they hear my, because you know I told you about the floating meditation.
Oh, yeah.
They're hearing this thing about Egypt, but it's from, you're right, mate.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean,
each person resonates differently.
I understood more why he decided to echo the vibration. It took you to a different space and time where you become nobody and you're not so attached to the physical sound that you're picking up. It's actually not about the voice anymore. See, so now I understand. I was like, dang, you're a genius. But at time, if my friend sent me straight,
interesting.
Yes, if my friend sent me straight to the meditation, I would have not done that.
Okay.
So he sent me the lectures, and the lectures are all about neuroscience. And now I pick my now I'm
Imelda's like, say it again.
yeah, I'll say that again. Thank you. So I was very open, and after like weeks of like hammering and repeating like multiple times, listening to that, and I was like, shoot, this is all science. It was the whole electromagnetic field and the whole thing, and it was like, it's physics. It's physics. And I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to understand that Newtonian physics is very different to quantum physics, and metaphysics is another different world. And I was almost like being able to see the mix between physics and biology. Physics was not necessarily my strongest subject. I did A-level on it, but it wasn't my strongest point. Maybe that's what put me off. and I was becoming like very obsessed into learning what's more that I could experience, because I was no longer just reading it, but I could feel it in the body there and then. So it was more experiencing
It was experiential rather than theoretical.
It was pretty. It opened up to the whole new world, and
also now we know she likes Aladdin.
yes, and it's a very very awakening, and I'm forever thankful for that. One, for Dominic to send that across, but also for me to say I'm open enough to listen to this. And to have someone who understood me enough to say she's not going to listen to meditation, but she's going to do
that's
this.
beautiful to even know that a friend understood you to that level.
Yes. And then from which another coincidence happened, which, by the way, this is how stubborn I was. This is where my pitta come in. Even after all that knowledge and after this, you would have thought I would sit with the meditation, wouldn't you?
Nope.
Yeah, I didn't because I tried and I couldn't. I was like, sorry, I'm really sorry, but it's also very Americanized.
Okay.
And I laugh all the time before it even start. I could not sit past 5 minutes. And then universe loved me so much. Universe brought another coincidence. It was a student who came to my Sunday class. I never met her before. And it's my class, power yoga, Sunday morning. And after finish the class, so usually I stay in the room. But for some reason, I walk out in the corridor, try to get some drink. And I saw her, she was getting ready. And I said, hey, nice to meet you. Never seen you before. And then she said, I really love your meditation part. I meditate with Joe Dispenza. And I was like, oh, wow, it's not in my sphere usually for people actually meditate and people aware of who Joe Dispenza is. And I said, okay, tell me more. And then she then said she went for his retreat. Basically, it's like a full-blown, oh my God. And this person who has experienced the power within to then share that with me in front of me. And I was so shocked. And then she said, I have a couple of meditation that got sent for you. So I was like, okay, I will do that. I think that's loud enough. Went home, she sent everything to me. Yeah, you would have thought by then I would press start. I still didn't.
Even I'm almost shaking now. Imelda!
No, still didn't. Oh my God. Still did not. And then come May, there was one, I don't know what got into me. In May. This is like after in full-blown pain for like literally from January. And in May, I decided maybe I should start with the love meditation. Maybe let's do that.
I hit a bit of matter.
Yeah. And I look at it, it was like half an hour. I was like, I can do half an hour. That's short enough. Play, sit. Oh my God, I saw lights. I saw thoughts. I was like, holy moly. And I kept throughout the whole practice, I kept thinking about this student, Asra. And I thought I have to say thank you to her. So I never seen her ever again, by the way. That's how good my class was that she never came back. And then
don't take it personally.
And then I thought, gosh, I need to thank her for this experience alone.
That powerful.
Like, I to be fair, I didn't even hear much of what Joe Dispenza said, but it was something. The energy is a movement, either the music or some form. Music, again, is a form of energy.
Well, we were speaking how important the music is. That's why I wanted to bring you on. You understood many things and how married together, the power behind it. And that probably stems from...
That's open for me. And I was like... Fine. So then when I decided after the meditation, immediately I wanted to text her, of course. I opened my laptop, WhatsApp, there, pop, her message open. Dropped down and she said, Imelda, there's a coherence healing appointment opens. This is a free, non-donation basis healing from Joe Dispenza's team that... Like, it's free. Anyone can sign up, but it's by a bit of a lottery thing that you get picked by energy system, really. So I said, oh my God, okay, I can be open with that. Oh my God. And then I sent off, and then I got selected to have the appointment in June. Again, obviously not by chance. Coincidence. Of course, coincidence. And... I
can just see that thread.
Yeah, there's a thread. I remember it was... in June, 5th of June. And the healing session, they call you Healy instead of patient. How beautiful. Healy instead. Healy, so the healer and the Healy. And 18, yeah, 18, I want to say people, they're probably not people at this point. They all look like angels, to be fair. They're all like bright light. They always Zoom call. Okay. And I simply lie down on the floor. And they don't do anything witchy or anything. They simply say, I was like ready for whole like woo-woo stuff coming in. Yeah, no, nada. They just ask you to sleep, lie down, and then they said, the only thing we ask you to do is your true willingness to accept love from strangers. Without you needing to do anything, without you needing to prove who you are. None of us know who you are, yet we know who you are. The true you are.
True you.
Yeah, the you. That was solid, and I burst out crying. And they said, we only simply sending you love. That's all that they do. 18.
I felt emotional you saying it. Just the thought of accepting that love, just unconditionally accepting it.
There's nothing woo-woo about it. They don't even say prayer. They don't even do any. I was ready at that point. Like, bring on anything.
Yeah.
No.
Voodoo magic, let's do it.
Nothing. Just pure love. Sending it to you for you to have the awakening to remember who you are. And I'm like, oh my God. I was lying there crying. What do you mean I don't need to study hard for this?
That's why I love meditation. I actually, I got so like a bit like you, like just loving the understanding and the thinking and like this masculine mindset. And then, you mean I can just sit still and watch the breath become open to how I feel, and that's it. Yeah. And then I realised how difficult I found just allowing. Just that power of surrender.
Yeah. And this has taught me what true meaning of surrender is. It's not giving up, but give in. Give in into that feeling. Lean into that, actually.
Well, have you ever done Sananga?
No.
So it's one of the medicines. And my friend, she very into like using the master medicines in a reverent, ceremonial way. And it's basically a drop that you put in your eyes. But imagine like chili sauce. We're talking, I've been in some pain. It was up there with the Vipassana pain. It was so intense. And I've learned to let the body do what it needs to naturally do. But my mind was looking at any way out. And like you said, the only thing I could possibly do that wasn't going to drive me insane from the pain was give into it. And it's almost rather than this attack,
just
unfold into it, breathe into it. And I then started really appreciating the pain. Yeah. Just like, oh, this is...
It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Interestingly, animals do that. Buffalo.
Okay.
They run towards the storm. Because they know that's the quickest way. If east to west, then they run towards it so that it's actually come off.
Get it over with.
Yeah.
Rip that plaster off.
Same with mole.
Okay.
So it's very slime mole. Yeah, again, slime mole, hats off.
Yeah, man, like
genius. That little thing is a genius. Yeah. So that was. So I had an hour and a half of that. Come off the meditation. I mean, interestingly, one of the sentence that I really picked up from that session was Joe Dispenza's voice saying that you are the glue and only you who could glue this bone back together. And only through love, which is your glue, that you can heal yourself, and you are already healed. And I'm like,
magic exists. You heard it.
It was a pretty. What I took from that session was how loved I was and how I felt the love within me. And so I got out from that. It was already in the evening, 7 p.m. I could feel tingly all over.
Okay.
Like my feet, my hands, I was rocketing and I was shaking so much. And I remember sending a video to Leo, actually, the next day.
Shout out to Leo, by the way.
Shout out to Leo.
The reason we've been having here.
Yes. Thanks, Leo. And I was really shaky, super shaky, like in a non-epileptic, very epileptic way of shaky. And I thought, oh gosh, what is this? And I remember I was really out of space. Like I was everything was just suddenly, like you're really high in beauty, high in love. So I went to bed. The next day I texted my friend Asra, the student who obviously I wanted to say thank you so much for aligning this for me or open the door for me. And all I could talk about was how loved I felt at the time. And then she asked, how is your wrist? And I was like, oh, I forgot about my wrist. Yes, that was why I was there in the first place. And I was still with my cast on. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. And then she said one sentence, she said, when you forget about the problem is when the miracle happened. When you focus so much on love that you forgot that you even have the problem in the first place because the problem dissolved. I was like, wow. So I opened my cast. And mind you, this is the day before I went to the surgeon, and the surgeon asked me to do mobility. Like, can you I remember looking at it and it was not moving. Like, it was not moving, solid not moving. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I know what mobility is. And then Thursday was the healing session, coherence session. And then Friday morning, I moved and it moved. Oh my God, I burst out like crying in an insane, it's cathartic really, because I was not the type who believe people can walk off wheelchair at church. You know, that whole church thing, walking off. I was so against it. There's so much resistance in my limited mind, in my limited knowledge. And I almost felt that sudden surge. I mean, it was still very painful, but it was just the sheer of like the day. Of course, I contacted my surgeon immediately, and it was just the whole. I think my surgeon must think how cuckoo I was, because my God, I was like, oh my God.
This is why I love people like you coming on the show, because I want to show them that you're not crazy.
Maybe I am.
Or if you are, it's in the best ways. Because for me, I don't see myself as someone who can be easily fooled. Maybe almost a cross I've bared. Like, no, you can't fool me. You can't. It almost made me close-minded to stuff.
Yeah.
But when I've opened my mind, I haven't lost that.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's almost like, be skeptical, question it, but don't be cynical and not actually entertain it. Now I am mindful of the time. I feel like we really are having such the most beautiful conversation, but I know you said like there is, and also there's a lot for the audience to digest. I'm just going to do a quick clap and check what time we're on.
Yes.
But just maybe like a 5 minute, 10 minute, like.
Yeah.
There we go.
Go check. Gosh, time flies.
It really does. So we're on an hour 39, which is beautiful. This is going to be a 2-parter. So we'll come back in. There we go. For me, I know your life is so complex. There's been so much history that we probably haven't even touched on. And that's why I always want to invite people on. That we've done a sort of summary, which is weird to summarise a person in 2 hours. It's ridiculous. But we could get you back on for maybe a deeper dive into certain subjects. But for this particular enter, which is now clearly a part 2.
It's cliffhanger.
Is there anything we haven't shared that you just want to be able to share with the audience?
Oh, it's just beautiful. I think if there's any parting things to share is to have a little room to think about the canvas that we could make it visible through the paint, through the essence that we carry within us. Keep embedding in us when not so afraid of challenges or triggers around you, but utilize that as your unique canvas of how you can then, whatever paint you want to drop in that. And lean into that and not be afraid of pain.
Because we are. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I was a bit like you. I believe I have quite a high processing mind, and it saved me when I hadn't been trained how to process this pain from being overwhelmed to the point that it broke me. So thank God. that I did have the egoic mind coming in to try and do this and that
Yes,
and
yes.
manage. And I'm a big,
Yes.
I don't know if you've heard of IFS, the internal family system.
Oh,
Basically,
yes.
therapeutic model, which is, there's so many parts of us that fragment at certain points.
Yeah.
But then when I finally got to the point that the mind had gone so far and I'm still suffering. So it was like I had this moment where it was going, I was almost asking this universe or something, and I was in so much pain, and I was like, what do you want me to do with
Nothing.
this? And it was basically that. I was saying, what should I do? And I was trying to ask it to tell, like, I was trying to think my way out of a feeling. And it almost, I saw this image in my mind of the universe going, what do you think you should do with a feeling? Like, almost like, what do you think? Almost like, with a smirk, it said the word think. You feel a feeling. You don't think your way out of a feeling. You feel it. And then after that, it was like, and then the power of the release. It's pure cathartic release is up there with the most beautiful things in the world. The different parts of myself almost saw my soul and was like, you're mad. You knew this was going to happen. And when it did, the beauty of it was just like pure anger or pure pain, pure sorrow, pure grief, pure without any resistance. It's,
and then express that.
It's its own, and it's that expression. We weren't meant to suppress, or maybe we were.
To then experience this.
Exactly. Maybe it's almost like, you know, when you hold and you hold and you hold and then poof.
Yeah.
And that makes it something it wouldn't have been. So I really resonate. And I know we didn't get a chance to talk much at your class, but there was something. I've been to many different beautiful, and there was something about you and that's why time and time again, I've been like, completely like, that's fine. We can't do it that day. That's fine. And part of me's got that fear of loss part is like, I hope she doesn't never. I hope we do get her on, because I just
to be here.
I felt like there was just something that
beautiful.
a story you were going to tell the audience. I have the privilege of having a reach to.
Thank you.
No matter how small or how large. If this is one person and that one person's me, it was worth it.
It was definitely through you.
I appreciate you very much. And I feel like now, like we said at the start before we started filming, that I actually get to connect with you on a deeper level from this share. Yeah. And now I feel like this is somebody, I no wonder I resonated and pulled them into this moment, because I resonate with almost everything you've said.
Yeah, energy first.
So where can people find you?
I mean, on Instagram is where I quite actively announce things, events, and my inspirations often there. I don't actually have Instagram on my phone, interestingly. It's not that I'm such a sage, but because I'm using a really old phone that it crashes all the time. So it's not exactly
you did message me that earlier.
Yeah,
I was like, we're messaging on Instagram now.
I use my iPad as my Instagram, and I checked it every few days or so, which is good. That's mainly, and then I teach at Block and also in Alderley Edge area too. And I run my own private events and workshops. Would love to have more people to come and join and share space together. And
we'll put all the links for you in the description. So anyone who wants to reach out, wants to tell you how they felt about it, or they want to come to a class, they want to come to a retreat, a workshop, whatever beautiful thing you're doing next, they'll be able to get in touch with you. Oh, looking forward. Any final messages? I think so many of us don't realize that every experience that is coming in front of us, including triggers, is genuinely there for us to express what's being suppressed before. So we invite those experiences to us as harsh as sometimes it sounds, especially when the experience is not the sweetest thing, but we truly call in this experience because every single being that appear in our life, it's either to celebrate the heal part of us, or they are there to show us the unhealed part of us. Because we keep praying we wanted to be healed, well, universe will be like, well, how else I'm going to show you to heal if you don't know what is the unhealed, what you suppressed.
So then I'm going to send you a couple of people, a couple of events to then for you to really in the 3D world feel it, see it, really feel that. Then you get the opportunity to choose love, to choose to resurrect, to then heal. Then more and more people that come to your life is there to celebrate with you. And I'm watching my own life transform, that I have so many celebrations non-stop, which is probably why we keep changing the time. I'm so sorry, someone's wedding, I have to be there.
I just knew that it was going to happen when it was meant to, and it was going to be beautiful, and it has been. So
oh no,
this was how it was meant to be.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Really appreciate this, Michael. Totally. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Peace and love, guys.
Peace and love.
Woo! Isn't she just the sweetest? I absolutely love Imelda. Our first doctor. We're really stepping up in the world, and I feel like intelligence is being able to recognise the patterns, wisdom's knowing what to do with that intelligence, what actions to take. And I think the fact that she's got her her feet, one in the spiritual community, one in that like that financial, biotech, pharmaceutical, it's like really important that we have people like that who are balanced, not just one or the other. So yeah, with Imelda, I feel like the best way to really understand what she brings is by experiencing it. So she's got those retreats coming up. I'm going to put links, classes all over Manchester, Greater Manchester area. Anything that gets you in touch with Imelda will only heighten your frequency and you'll have a healthier, lovelier life. So the links for Imelda, that's not a name, Imelda, will be in the description. Also for myself, meditation with Michael, one-to-ones, classes, but also that 10-day beginners course. That's everything I've used to build a strong foundation. Anxiety, depression, toxic behaviour patterns, whatever it is that you're struggling with, the panacea is learning how to process it, sit with it. You heard Imelda. So the links for myself will be in the description. And of course for Transmute, that's doing so many beautiful things. The links for Transmute are also going to be in the description. Now, the next episode 5, bloody hell. This one's going to be with Levi Banner. And if you don't know who Levi Banner is, shamanic breathwork, DJing across the world and so much more, and it's a really interesting one. He's a cousin, and we're not my actual blood cousin, American. We've got another American on the show, and he does a lot of work with Nikki Cohen. You remember Nikki Cohen from season 1, and he's really, really cool. He's just cool, man. So that's going to be the next episode coming up with Levi Banner. Whilst you're waiting, why not check out the rest of the episodes from season 2? Almost said season 1 then, I've been so used to saying it. Literally got a whole season 1 as well there for you. So anything that might resonate with you could just be lying in wait. You just got to discover it. It's all on the website as well if you want to go have a little browse through. Right, I'm rambling. So before I leave you, any likes, it's really helpful. It supports the show massively. Your comments as well, like hearing what you think of it. You can subscribe so you don't miss any of the fantastic episodes. Otherwise, guys, you know I love you. I appreciate you staying till the end. Even with my absurdities and ramblings, you still stayed. Peace and love.